Hi, this is Niki in Japan. Welcome to Study English in English of Studio Neko. So today what I'm going to do is tackle part 5 of the TOEIC. So I'm going to have this practice guide for Study English in English. As you know, in Japan, a lot of Japanese users study English, and most of the videos that you see in YouTube that are study guides in English are explained in Japanese. So this is my attempt at making a study guide in English explained in English. So I think it's a good opportunity for YouTube users who are Japanese learners who wanted to study English and can have exposure in the English language. Also, in Japan, TOEIC has been an integral part of the Japanese culture because a lot of companies actually use TOEIC as a form of identifying the English capacity or English level of a Japanese employee. So TOEIC is one of the many standardized tests that test your capacity, specifically your listening and reading levels in English. So part 5 is one of the reading parts in TOEIC. So it's fill in the blanks, and usually the key points or the blanks here pertain to grammar. It checks collocation and vocabulary. So when identifying grammar content, a user must be able, or a test taker must be able to be familiarized with parts of speech. So collocation, meanwhile, are words that are used together in the English language. And vocabulary, in the vocabulary part, you have to be able to use words according to definition. So in this video, I'm going to have 4 questions, and I'm going to flash you the questions at 20 seconds each. I'll give you time for you to read each of the question and the responses, and you will have 20 seconds per slide to go through them. Later on, I will read the question and the responses and explain what is the correct answer after flashing the question. All right, ready? So I'll begin. All right, number 1. At Neko Foods, we know that healthy food is blank important to consumers. So here we have options A, increase, B, increasingly, C, increased, D, increases. So for your information, a consumer is someone who buys and uses products and services. So you can say that, for instance, if you buy at a supermarket, you are called a consumer because you buy products at a supermarket. All right, so going back to the question here, you have the blank before the word important. So as you know, important is an adjective. It describes what healthy food is. So the most appropriate response here, the most appropriate word would be an adverb. So the only adverb among the choices is letter B, increasingly. So A, C, and D are all verbs. So A is a verb in its base form, C is a verb in its past form, and D is a verb in the singular present form. So obviously you want a word that describes an adjective, and that is only described for an adverb. So the correct answer is B, increasingly. All right, so now let's move on to number 2. Among her many blank achievements, Miss Neko wrote 7 books and served as a doctor for 3 major journals. A, remarking, B, remarked, C, remarkable, D, remarkably. So for your vocabulary, a journal is a noun that is a magazine produced for professional people or those with a particular interest. All right, so now going back to the question, this is a bit tricky actually because you have the word achievements and the achievements is a noun. So the word that comes before a noun should be an adjective, right? So it should be an adjective. An adjective is a part of speech that describes a noun or a pronoun. Among the choices, A, B, C actually can be used as adjectives. So they can be used as words that describe. Although A and B are words in their verb forms, like for instance, A is in its present form and B is a verb in its past form, both words can be used as adjectives. C is definitely an adjective. And D, meanwhile, is an adverb. So we know that D is not an answer here. But among A, B, and C, only C here is a collocation for the word achievement. Remarkable achievement means something like a great achievement, like a milestone. Okay? So in this case, the most appropriate response here, the best answer would be letter C. Remarkable. All right, let's move on to number 3. Number 3. Previous seasonal employees seeking to be rehired have to blank a new application. A, inform, B, familiarize, C, submit, D, observe. So rehire is a verb that means to hire again. Usually you hire a former employee. And application is a noun that is used as a formal or usually written request for something such as a job, place at a university, or permission to do something, right? So you send an application when you wanted to get a job, or you send an application to your university when you want to be admitted in your university. So all the words here, A, B, C, and D, are all in verb forms. Now, this question tests your vocabulary. Yes, you have to be familiar with your vocabulary in order for you to answer this question. Inform means to officially tell someone about something or give them information, right? So the word inform is the base word and it's related to the word information, like to get informed, to know, to understand. So that's inform. Familiarize is to learn something, to learn about something so that you understand it, or to teach someone else about something so that they understand it. So the word familiarize has something to do with understanding, right? So you use the word familiarize when you study, when you understand a certain thing. Submit is a verb that means to give a plan, a piece of writing to someone in authority for them to consider or to approve, right? So when you submit, for example, when you submit your homework to your professor, that professor has to approve, to check your submission. So you give something and someone checks it. So that's submit. And letter D, observe, is a verb that means to watch something or someone carefully. So observe means to watch. All right? So in this case, the best answer would be letter C. Because if you want to send your application to get a job, right? An employee, right? An employee is someone who works for an organization or for a company. If you want to send an application, you have to submit it. That application has to be checked, right? So in this case, number 3, the correct answer is C, submit. Also, it's a collocation for the word application, right? Usually you submit application to your university, you submit your job application to the company. So it's also a collocation, right? So when you hear English speakers, usually they say, I submitted my application to the university. All right. Now let's go on to the last question, number 4. All right, number 4. Blank, the heater is set too high. The plastic materials inside the room may be ruined. A, why? B, but. C, if. D, so. So this one is a bit tricky because I'm seeing a lot of conjunctions here. I'm seeing a lot of transitionals. So you have to really be familiarized. You have to understand what these words mean. A, why. Why is a question word. Usually when you're asking a question, you use the word why in order to get a reason. Or sometimes it's an adverb, like as an expression, used as an expression, right? Sometimes you hear English speakers say, why you're here. That's like an expression that says, oh, you're here, right? So it's an exclamation expression. In this case, why is not an appropriate answer because why is usually used to introduce a question. And obviously, this is not a question. This is not also an exclamation. So why is not a rhetorical response here. It's not a rhetorical option. B, C, and D are all conjunctions. Although B, but is used to connect two statements or phrases when the second one adds something different or opposite to the first statement. In this case, we have two clauses. We have two statements. The heater is set too high and the plastic materials inside the room may be ruined. So those are your two statements. In this case, but is not the best option because we use but when you have two opposite statements, when you have two opposing statements, two statements that have opposite meanings. In this case, when you have a heater set too high, the natural effect would be something may be ruined. So these are not two opposing statements. So but is not a good answer for this. C, if. If is a conjunction that is used when talking about something that might happen or something that is true or something that might have happened. So if is used when you have a statement and you have the effect, which is what we're talking about in number 4. So your statement is the heater is set too high and the effect may be plastic materials get ruined. So that's why C, if, is the correct answer for number 4. When you have a conjunction so, you use it to say that someone does something because of the reason just stated. Normally, before using so, there's a cause. In this case, you don't get context. There's no context of what's the cause. So is not a good answer here because I'm not seeing a cause before the blank. All right? So there goes the last question for this video. I hope you got a lot. You got something from this video and you learned a lot from studying English in English. So good luck with your TOEIC exams.